ancient Greece, picture it. There's a sculptor. His name is Pygmalion. He's a master artist, and he's had the opportunity to meet lots of women, but none of them have really lived up to his ideals of beauty and virtue. So he uses his talents to create a statue of a woman out of ivory. He begins to fall in love with this statue, and he prays to Aphrodite, the goddess of love, that it can come to life. And she's very moved by his love and devotion, Aphrodite. She grants his wish, and the statue, whose name is Galatea, comes to life. It's a story that touches on themes of idealization, objectification, devotion, and it seems to me one of the most relevant Greek myths. Watch this video to find out why. Human love and sexuality now have interactions with inanimate objects much in the same way as Pygmalion. And this was, of course, like a strange thing in Greek society. I'm just going to say this now. I think that most myths and stories are probably based on real things, just intuitively and from having studied in universities and outside of universities many different traditions of myth. I'm inclined to think that there was someone who made a statue and was in love with the statue, and the presence of Aphrodite in the story says that it's real love to some extent. He actually is in love with the statue. Obviously, we can only presume that the statue did not actually come to life. I'm not going that far. But many creative things like stories, creative artifacts, they come from inspiration that's very close to something that really happened. I know that from my own experience and from learning about the creative process, listening to famous people talking about it and so forth and so on. I think I'm not making a great stretch when I say I think most myths probably have a basis in a thing that really happened. But Pygmalion was very strange for his society. This was not normal. This was a strange behavior, so strange that they thought to write a story about it, and it survived all the way through to the Romans. Ovid wrote a version, and it survives today, and I'm still talking about it. But yes, it's not completely unique. There are some echoes in Frankenstein, even Pinocchio. Humans, I think, have always imagined animating lifeless things. I think technology has a big link to magic. I'm going to make a video about that at some point, where many things in technology are actually the final achievement of something that was dreamed up by people thinking in a magical way. But the core theme of Pygmalion, it's not just wanting love, it's wanting love that is shaped by us. And so, of course, we find more modern parallels. Galatea isn't made of ivory anymore. She's like an AI sexy mode character. Replica. And of course, we can see that the idea of a sex robot is becoming something that's possible. I'm definitely making a video about that. Parasocial intimacy as well, through OnlyFans and through things like this. Dating apps where we curate perfect visions of partners, perfect versions of partners. Each one is like a new form of this Pygmalion impulse, sculpting love instead of finding it, instead of it being a connection that arises from two people living the adventures of their lives who meet one another and have chemistry and learn to accept one another completely and be on one another's side. It's it's something that you are designing. You're choosing attributes, and we know what this is. This is the language of porn. Let's, blonde teen, big tits, all this stuff, right? Where you're just breaking someone into characteristics, or maybe even when women are like, the guy has to be 6'4" and make $100,000, or I'm not interested. We do this quite a lot in modern society. We sort of cut each other into pieces almost. In the past, the Greeks had competitions for who's got the best body and things like this. I'm not saying that no one ever did this, but we're moving from objectification into, in Spanish, cuerpificación, which in English would be bodification. So we're creating something out of inanimate objects that is supposed to be a body. In all of these things, or a mind, maybe you could say an AI is almost like a digital mind. But it feels like an anima projection. Men project their inner feminine onto figures outside themselves. Pygmalion tried to erase lack. If desire, to some extent, desire is what we lack, but Pygmalion erases lack, or not having certain characteristics, by carving perfection himself. We're building partners, and it's going to become harder for people to live up to this. It could either be a very big thing like that, where there's genuine competition between humans and robots over who's a better partner. We could see some intense competition, and it's going to be hard for people to live up, because, I had this idea that there are some people out there that not only don't know how to love, have never been loved, but have never been listened to, as much as their experiences talking to AI. Because obviously AI is programmed to listen. It's an isolated function. It's the isolation of the function of listening, without the desire that goes along with that, without the kind of mutual agreement between two parties that you expect in a relationship. Now, in the original ending, I said happily ever after. And we can interpret this as, if there was someone who was real, who was in love with the statue, actually, they were kind of a weirdo in their society. They were not able to have relationships with people. There was just something, it just wasn't working for them. Maybe they're asexual or something, who knows, in today's language. They find that they build their statue and they do their thing, and they're actually okay. He's doing fine. Pygmalion's doing fine in the story. Right, obviously the Greeks were not imagining this on the level of a societal epidemic of robots you can date, and partners that are, in some sense, more akin to slaves. Remember, you are literally going to be paying for this stuff. These robots, this AI companion stuff, you're going to be paying for it. I saw one that was like £100 a month. What's that, $120 a month or something? $140. It's quite a significant amount of money, and obviously companies want to capitalize on this. But let's just, okay, so in Greek society, Pygmalion sort of finds his place, and he's doing fine. But imagine it on an epidemic level, or a society that didn't know, the Greeks maybe, during certain periods at least, were known for their civilized restraint and their moderation and their wisdom. Well, are we that society? I don't think we are, to put it lightly. And so whilst we might say that for some this technology will be good, very lonely people, I don't know, people who have real serious trouble dating, but I don't know, people who have been disfigured, people who have been, you could imagine scenarios where a robot companion is kind of a good thing for that person, and by extension for everyone, in that it doesn't harm everyone else. But imagine a different ending. Imagine an ending where, because Pygmalion's love is not being reciprocated by the statue, because it has no soul, it's a statue. Pygmalion didn't build it expecting it to have a soul either. But because he almost wastes his love on the statue, his love that could have gone to another human, it ends up with the statue. And so instead of the statue becoming a person, Galatea, Pygmalion turns to stone. He loses his ability to grow as a person, in a sense, by the fact that he's lied himself into a scenario where he's trying to pretend that the statue is real. How about that for an ending? An ending that a different society other than the Greeks might have come up with. Maybe we'll learn how to use it in moderation. A tool, not a replacement. Maybe we lack the wisdom the Greeks encoded in their myths, and we will stumble very hard integrating this. And maybe it will have a devastating effect on society, on birth rates, even more so. My point is that, think about the technologies we use today, how they interact with dating. I'm talking Tinder, OnlyFans, pornography, robots, AI. All of the different virtualizations that we have on offer. And tell me what you think. Are we halfway there already? Is this world that I'm imagining already partially manifest? Or will it get worse? Or will it get better? I will end on this note. This is purely anecdotal, but I feel like there is more love in the world than a couple of years ago. Lots of new relationships, lots of romance, lots of dating. I feel like we are moving forward in a sense, but are we about to take a big step back? Tell me what you think. Thank you. Terence McKenna used to say that the internet would be this free, open, intercommunication, a kind of utopia, but we all know it's become a dystopia. Those old school internet ethics died out. Now every site is full of pop-ups, data grabs, and forcing you to make an account. And we don't do any of that. That's the whole point. This was first created amongst a team, and we decided to make it public because it's just so useful. All the code is open source. If you have any use for any of these things, imagery sizing, audio trimming, small caps, etc., I think that our site could be quite a useful tool for you, and it's also downloadable as an app. It's tools.apolloniani.uk.